The Education Bureau was among the three major departments that employ the greatest number of contract staff, but now is among the two largest departments. And now the Education Bureau and Hong Kong Post are employing the largest number of contract staff. We can understand the needs of the Hong Kong Post, but for the Education Bureau, I fail to understand why it has to employ more than 1,000 contract staff, accounting for about 10% of the total number of NCSE staff employed by the government. Why should teaching assistants be considered as posts that are time limited and with seasonal or with market fluctuations? Would only be employed for just a few months or for the whole year? So I'd like to know whether teaching assistants form part of this category, and non-technical staff, 297 are under the category where the mode of delivery of service is under review or may be changed. Will that cover 222 artisans? And the mode of delivery of service by artisans is under review and will be changed shortly. So can you elaborate? They are employed on an academic year basis. They are time limited, and because public schools have school-based management, schools have greater autonomy to deploy the resources more flexibly. So usually they're employed from September every academic year until the end of the academic year. 90% of them are employed for 12 months. A small number of them might be shorter than 12 months, perhaps due to needs of the schools concerned, or perhaps the start of their contract did not tally with the start of the academic year. But most of them will be employed for 1 year because the contracts are signed every academic year. And as for non-skilled staff, most of them are artisans or janitor staff. They are mainly employed by government schools which have school-based management. They are allowed to spend or use their resources flexibly. There is a scheme for them to use their funds flexibly depending on the needs. At different times of the year, schools can have a different staff mix. So the money under the fund can be used for employing NCSE staff. They are mainly janitor staff or clerical workers, and they can even outsource workers. But we've heard that some of them were employed starting from September, but the contracts did not cover the summer vacation, and this is very mean. Perhaps this is not necessarily happened in government schools. We need more information to confirm. But if this is real, I hope the Bureau can reconsider this. Teaching assistants should not be employed in this manner. But if the contracts are renewed, that means their positions are not time limited. And I understand that teaching assistants are regularly needed in schools. So can they be employed as CS staff? Teaching assistants very often help teachers to prepare teaching materials and organize activities. We have many new education initiatives and also funding schemes for schools. and therefore there is a greater demand for the service of teaching assistants, and that explains why there has been an increase in the number of teaching assistants because of teaching, of education initiatives and funding, and such positions are really time limited and seasonal, and that's why teaching assistants are being employed as NCSC staff. Having said so, we from time to time review the manpower situation of schools, and we encourage government schools to employ long-term staff as far as possible, but we have more than 60 government schools. And the teacher mix may be different every year. There may be a reduction in such positions and addition elsewhere, and if the same staff member has been employed continuous for a few years, well, we will review the situation. If we see a service need for some position, if it is projected to be need for the long term, we'll turn it to an CS position.